Hi everyone, hope everyone can hear me okay. Welcome to CoC Live, another fantastic CoC Live. Absolutely love doing these sessions. For people who haven't joined us before and are new to the community of cultures, I'm just going to quickly introduce who we are and what we do and how this Instagram series came about before I go on to introduce our guest tonight. So, Community of Cultures, we are a national project. We are owned by the Sheffield Maternity Cooperative. So we're part of them, but the work that we do is national. So we offer safe spaces online. At the moment, we are particularly focused on fertility spaces and baby loss. And this is for people from Black communities, from Asian communities, and from other ethnic communities. And we offer those safe spaces for people to explore a variety of reproductive topics. And so as I said, at the moment we're heavily focused on fertility and baby loss, as this is where we found there was a great need for support. So as well as that, what else we do, we obviously are doing this CoC Live, this Instagram Live series that I've created. And the purpose of it really is to raise awareness of different topics in like different reproductive topics and how they impact these different communities. And to raise awareness of different cultures and things that are done, different traditions, and that's kind of what tonight's about as well. So I've held a few different CoC Lives now. We've done postnatal depression, we've covered baby loss. The last one we did was about the impact of baby loss in the South Asian community on grandparents and siblings and wider family. So just getting a notification. Our guest tonight, I'm so excited to speak to Kirin tonight. Kirin is from Newcastle. I used to live in Newcastle. I'll just introduce myself. Just add Kirin in because she's requested it. There we go.
Just waiting for her to come along. Hello! Hi! I was just introducing myself and the community of cultures, so and how excited I am for tonight's chat, because this has been like a long time in the making.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
So I'm the project manager for the Community of Cultures project, and as I explained, we talk about different topics and how they affect people from Asian communities and Black communities and ethnic communities. And tonight we're talking about Sikhism and pregnancy and birth. And when I say it's been a long time in the making, me and Kirin, and I will allow Kirin to introduce herself in a minute. I used to live in Newcastle, and we met a few times, and we had this grand plan to do a leaflet about Sikhism and about pregnancy and birth and the different like customs and things like that. And it was a great plan. And then we both got pregnant, and then COVID happened. And then
the story of our life.
We had babies, and I left Newcastle, and it's just been absolute roller coaster of a journey. And then I thought, when I started this series, I was like, this would be a good Instagram Live, so let's at least get something done.
That leaflet will happen. That leaflet will happen one day.
I know, it will. It's so important. And we were both like, this is such important stuff and people need to know about it. But yeah, at least we're getting this bit done. So I'm going to pass it over to Kirin just to introduce yourself and also DiverCity as well, which I think you are actually speaking from the hub as well. So I'll just pass it over to you.
So I'm Kirin Sanpreet Kaur. I am a yoga teacher, so yoga, meditation teacher. My faith, which is sort of pivotal to center of my life, is Sikhi. So I'm a Sikh, and we have DiverCity Hub, which is a wonderful a community space. We're very, very lucky to have acquired this space, and we have many activities here and where we're supporting the mental health and well-being generally for people from all different backgrounds and all different ages. The tagline for the space, Diversity Hub, it's called A Space for All. We're really trying to embody that, so that making sure that anybody can come here, there's no restrictions, and so we're able to offer this space even if there's financial restrictions. But yeah, we're lots of big plans, and we're having a grand opening next year, so you're invited.
Oh,
Family.
thank you. I remember when we met, well, when I was there, it was a couple of years ago, and I remember you talking about setting up this space, and I can't believe it, like, it's here now, and I've gone, I've left. But I will definitely.
I know, it's a shame. It's a shame.
No, yeah, I will definitely come and visit. So, as I said, we had these plans to talk about Sikhism, and I guess the reason I wanted to talk about it and to raise awareness is it's just trying to raise cultural awareness, because everyone has their experience of pregnancy and birth, but different cultures can impact your experience and your wishes and traditions that you do, and not everyone may be aware of what different cultures do or believe, or things that might be normal for them. So we're going to talk about Sikhism today, and Kirin, going to ask you some questions, but we're just kind of going to go with the flow. I think like we do usually end up doing.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do, firstly, I'm just going to say it's important to make sure that everyone knows all people are different. So, you know, you can't make generalizations about people's wishes. So me and Kirin, we're both Sikh, but we're different, you know. And so what we talk about this evening, it might not reflect everyone's actions and choices. So it's just, it's an informative talk that we're having, but just remember to not make sweeping generalizations based on this. So I was just going to talk, if you can start off just by talking us through baptized Sikhs and non-baptized, because I think that was our starting point, wasn't it, when we were talking?
Yeah. So I've always been a Sikh, I would say, since I've gained some sort of consciousness. But at that time, I wasn't what I would refer to as baptized, you know. But I clasped the Guru, so I believed that the Guru was the center of my life from a pretty young age. So I would class that as a Sikh, personally. And I think baptized to me, so I want to like kind of reiterate what you were saying, that the beauty is that we all have our own view. So this does not respect, this doesn't sort of, I'm not speaking on behalf of the whole Sikh community. I think I just want to make that very sort of aware. But my view on a baptized Sikh is someone who's ready to make a commitment. You're really committing yourself to the way of life, the beautiful way of life that the Guru showed us. And it's very specific. It's like a very specific technology to life. So so you're committing yourself. So I decided to commit many years ago, a good 12 years ago, I think now. And so baptized, maybe that's the word, but yeah. And someone who has committed, they go through a ceremony, which we call the Amrit Sanjar ceremony. So sort of an initiation ceremony, if you want to call it. And so I went through that ceremony, and I am a baptized Sikh, if you want to call it that. Yeah. I've committed fully onto the path of the Guru. Yeah.
And we've got the 5Ks in Sikh, which people may not be aware about. So I think we should probably talk through them, and also how they might be incorporated into pregnancy and birth. So wondered if you could talk us through those.
Of course. So going back to the way of life being central to your being. So it's not sort of like on a Sunday when I'm going to practice, or I'll practice when I'm meditating, and then as soon as I finish my meditation, my other life begins. Sort of being a Sikh for me is central to everything that I do, which is difficult. And one of those things when you decide to fully commit, the technology that we've been given is we carry the 5 Ks. So we'll do it very briefly because I know we haven't got a lot of time on this live. So we have, the kanga, which is a wooden comb, which is placed in your head. So not everyone wears a turban. Not every woman will wear a turban. Males, they will. Some women, they have a sort of a bandana style, what we call batka. So they have sort of bandana style. So they'll do a bun, and then they'll have the ganga that's sitting on the back there. Or you have some ladies who just wear a scarf, So there's different ways of covering your head. So I personally, I wear what we call a dastar, a turban. And so my ganga, it sits sort of at the top of my head here, underneath many, many meters of material. And that's one of the things. And we have a kirpan, which is a sword, and it's on what we call a gatra. We also wear, so the sword that we wear, just for anyone that doesn't know about this, by law, we are allowed to wear it in this country. And it isn't specified how big or small the sword is. That's very important. But generally, people wear one that sort of sits underneath their clothes. So it's very discreet. But that's not necessary. It's not necessary for it to be discreet according to law. We can wear ours on top. Once again, I know we're short of time, but just very, very quickly, because sword. What, do you wear a sword? And some people like to refer it to a dagger or a knife and all that kind of stuff. No, it's a sword, and it's a blessing. It's an absolute blessing. A lot of, what would I call it? A lot of responsibility to be able to wear one. And one of the reasons is like weaponry, I'll use the word, is part of royalty. So one of the things that our 10th guru, who is Guru Gobind Singh Ji, who did the sort of initiation ceremony, who formed Khalsa, that's the name, of someone who is committed to the path of Sikhi, he made everybody royal. So we also like to wear the color blue it's part of our regalia, and blue blood. So you don't have to be born into a royalty per se. The minute you are committed to the path of the Guru, you are royalty. And royals always carry some sort of weaponry with them. And even, Queen has passed away, so the royal family, they have a huge collection of swords. When they are also doing a ceremony, they will have a sword with them. And even when there is there's many different things, but when there's even when the ceremony of someone being ordained, as a sort of a king or a queen, they're handed a sword. So it's part of royalty. So it's one of the things that we also have. And we have something called the kada, and I'll just show you. It's sort of a supposed to be like an iron bracelet, if you want to call it, that we wear. There's a huge technology that's attached to this, why we have it on our body. And we also wear something called a gashera, which is wonderful undershorts, very sexy, if I say so myself. And I've got wonderful stories about giving birth with my gasheras, if we have time towards the end. And how my midwives reacted towards them. They were very lovely. Lots of questions were asked. So we have that. And we also have gis, which is uncut hair, which is quite an important one, actually, when it comes to maternity, giving birth and pregnancy. Many different things that are associated to that. So we don't cut our hair from head to toe, not to remove any hair. So those are our 5Ks, and the 5Ks symbolize, generally, they're not supposed to leave your body. they stay on you at all time because they serve a huge purpose. But I think when we talked about our leaflet, Amni, I think that would be the good space where we could go into a lot more detail rather than now, because I know
Yeah.
we've got some questions to get through. But yeah, generally those are our 5Ks, and we don't let them leave our body. However, when it comes to giving birth, there are some, it's not so much where it's like you must not, we've got to be quite, I believe that you have to be a bit more practical about this when you're giving birth without going into any gory details. Sometimes it is not possible to keep everything on you. You want everything off you. So the time, we also believe as Sikhs, our guru tells us the time of when a lady is giving birth, that moment that a child is coming into the world, it's sort of like all time and space stops. It's most etherical space. It's a divine space, it's a divine goddess. So some ladies, they choose to remove some of their Ks, the kakars, as we call it. Some ladies don't. And I think both, it's very important for both to be respected. So it depends on how somebody feels about that. So even when it comes to giving birth, like, no, I want to make sure, my kirpan's on me, my kashera, even though technically the kashera can't be on you, but, some women like to wrap it around the ankles just to make sure that, it's still on my body. And the kirpan, by law, once again, we're allowed to have them on. So ladies also sort of just they still wear their gatra and they have the kirpan that goes around the back. And when it comes to your turban, in the Sikh sort of way of life, there's also ladies that class the turban as one of their 5Ks. Like gaze, which is hair. So there's also ladies, part of the Sikh faith, that class the turban as their 5K. So they will not let the turban leave their head. And if it does, because lots of things happen while you're giving birth, they will go and sort of get, I wouldn't say reinitiated, but they go through the process again of going through the ceremony and just letting them know that, one of my kakars had left my body. So, yeah.
It's so important though to acknowledge, as you said, the one thing is to respect people for their choices and for decisions. And these are things that midwives may be aware of, or they might not be aware of, but it's good for people to be aware that these things to some people are so important. They're so important as part of their journey as well. I wanted to ask, does Sikhism teach or encourage anything in particular around birth and labour and the postnatal period? So are there any particular traditions like that would follow? I think we spoke a little bit about Bart when the baby's born. What you go into detail about that a bit? Yeah.
So once again, trying to keep it very brief. The process of it starts before pregnancy, really. It starts about knowing the process of a soul that comes onto this earth, going through 8.4 million life forms to be able to get the human body. And so it's a huge deal. It's not a small thing to be able to, because we believe in reincarnation. So, it's sort of the last part of where the soul reunites back with its maker, the husband, Lord, whatever name that people might feel Sikhs might want to use. But in the Guru Granth Sahib, there's many different sort of words to use and terms to use. But yeah, it's going back home. And this is the last sort of part, being a human. So it's a huge deal, to be able to get this life again. And so it's very much revered, and so it starts like that. So when you have the baby that's inside, you're carrying this wonderful soul, and the body that is forming inside you. There's so much that carries the karma, I guess, that is inside, and you're carrying that. The mother's very much in tune. She changes as a person, and all that is part of Sikhi. You know, we believe that the baby is in what we called fire, the womb, and they're starting to now. I don't want to mention. I don't want to fully quote yet because I'm not entirely sure if it has been published yet, but I know there's research going on about how they haven't known before about there being extreme amounts of heat in the womb. But I know recently, and when I say recently, in the last 5 years, there was research being done about this. So I'm waiting for something to be published so I'm able to sort of move on to talk about this. But yeah, so it's already written in the Guru Granth Sahib about the fire in the womb, and that the baby is in complete meditation. And I think we've spoke about this before, haven't we? Like, you know, the baby has that soft spot at the top of their forehead. It's a very sensitive space, and that's what we call the 10th gate. So they're very much aware, way more aware than what we are, to be honest with you. And they're connected in very different ways, especially when they come, which is beyond our understanding, to be honest. So it's like working backwards. It's like you're merged, and then you're like coming into the world, and you're forgetting about all of that. So yeah, we talk about that the Guru talks about there being that fire of the womb, and the baby's inside that's meditating. So it's sort of a cocoon, it's sort of a safe space. There's lots of things actually about baby loss as well that is, I would say, is connected to this, but I'm not sure if it's appropriate maybe to talk about at this time. Maybe it's a different subject to talk about. So when the baby is to come out, during the process of labor, there's always Bhat that is being played. So Bhat meaning beautiful shabads, meditative frequencies, mantra, that are being played, and it's aiding the baby for when it comes into the world, that there isn't a sort of disconnect, you know? It's like you're in this cocoon and then you come out. And it's like, oh, okay. Which is generally what happens, but it helps
like
ease, I think.
Yeah, it's like easing
Ease
the baby
into the space, yeah. So that's one of the things that is 90% of the time, and I will speak on this part on behalf of sort of, I will say 90%, but more than 90% of initiated or baptized Sikhs will always have Bhat playing, and even non-baptized Sikhs that I know of, they'll have Bhat playing because it's one of those and it also calms the mother. So it's not just for the baby, it's not just about the mother that's giving birth, it's a whole experience, isn't it, for the mother? And she's becoming a mother. So even if you've got kids before, I mean, just my experience alone, I've given birth to 3 children, so, you know, nearly 2-year-old now. And I remember I've been a complete different person, complete different mother every single time that I've given birth. So, excuse me. Yeah, so it's an experience. It eases the mother. It's quite heavy actually, carrying these souls. It's wonderful, and no, I did not get a pregnancy glow. I'm gonna put that right there. But you know, it's quite heavy carrying some of these souls. So I think the mother needs it as well as the baby. So yeah, we always have that. And part of also when the baby is born, which I think is really important to talk about, and I think a lot of midwives will already know this, not so much in the Northeast, but we also have a ceremony when the baby is born. We give the baby amrit, so it's like what we class as nectar, and that's done from the tip of the kirpan, you know, that we wear, the sword. So I know it's pretty normal down sort of built up areas where there's you know, more of the diverse, our South Asian community, the Sikh community. Not so much in the Northeast. They'll probably be like, whoa, what's going on here? But that's part of yeah, so that's definitely part of what we're supposed to do as Sikhs. So
Yeah.
we will always have that ceremony as soon as the baby is here. Within, usually it's within the hour that they will give Amrit from the Girban, from the tip of the Girban. Yeah.
And what's the reasoning behind that? I know we could probably be here forever, but like,
I'm really trying to keep this brief. But yeah. So the reasoning from my perspective, once again, is it's that if you go back to you've been given this human life again, and when you're given Amrit, so Amrit isn't just sort of someone's gotten some water and thought, right, there we go, this is Amrit. Making Amrit, creating, it's like you're chanting. You may hear, if any midwives watching, you might hear sort of someone chanting and meditating as they're using the Gitban in a bowl, and they'll be sort of doing this kind of motion back and forth while they're chanting and completely focused, and it changes the crystallization of the water, which then transforms, very transformational. And so there's been lots of studies done on this about water crystals or transfer, which I will link. I'll send it to you actually, Amni, if you want that. Done by a Japanese professor, a doctor, who, if you shout at the water, it cuts very staggered crystals, and if you're very kind to the water, perfect crystals are formed. Just to talk about how important energy is and frequencies. So we're creating Amrit nectar using the 5 banis that we have, same ones that we have at the initiation ceremony, is recited during making the Amrit, and each of the banis represent something really, really important. They're about cutting away our karma, to be honest with you. It's about coming into this life form and just getting it done. There's many times that we've become humans and we go back around into a cycle. We won't always go back around into the 8.4 million cycles, but you're going around in cycles. So that's cut. And when you take the Amrit, your cycle is cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically the point of that. So you've come onto this earth, your cycle's cut, and their destiny is over. Destiny starts. So that it's very important for it to be done quite soon after the baby, is here. And it has many transformational effects, it's ease. It can be overwhelming for children, for babies, sorry. Babies go through many emotions, different babies do, when they've come, especially from being separated from their mother, they're being with their mother, they've come out, the cord's been cut, even if you have delayed clamping,
Yeah.
I think the best one is sort of lotus. I think it's lotus birth, where they keep it on and naturally the umbilical cord will come away within like a couple of days, I think it is. So there's many different things that babies go through. The Amrit helps ease that.
Yeah.
And
like a transformation, like an easing of into this world.
Yeah, and on a spiritual level, it cuts your coming and going.
Yeah.
From this earth. Yeah.
Thank you.
But there's much more to it. I just want to say there's way more to it. Keeping it very brief.
There is so much we could say on this topic that we are hoping to be leaflet, hopefully.
No.
But what do you think is the importance of healthcare professionals having cultural awareness?
It's paramount. And one of the reasons being is going back to being whether you're a Sikh or not. So this is just any woman out there. It's an extremely vulnerable period of your life. It's the most joyous. It can be sad, many different emotions, but you're extremely vulnerable. And when you are going to give birth, it's very, very important for a mother to be comfortable. And I'm not just talking about I feel good, absolutely comfortable. Because, I know, unfortunately, it has also become a what can I call it? A sort of factory. Baby is born, induce the mother, get the baby out next. Yeah, so I know it can also be sort of, it's become a factory, but the whole process of a mother giving birth, like literally a soul, you're a carrier of the soul that coming onto the earth. I can't stress enough that the whole period that you're pregnant and then when you're giving birth, it's the most vulnerable time in a mother's life. So so they need to feel comfortable. And unfortunately, I don't think many women of color do feel comfortable because I for sure didn't. And the ones that I've spoke to, they haven't. However, work has been done. Work has been done to change that. And so, yeah, it's paramount for a woman to feel comfortable during the time that she's going to give birth. She isn't going to have that time again. Yes, she might get pregnant again and have another baby again, but each time is different. And it's important for the baby, the well-being of a mother. Postnatal depression is huge,
Yeah.
I honestly believe that it does, if you've had an awful, which you know about the experience that I had, Annie, and he was such a huge help to me. But I was traumatized. And if it wasn't for the help that you had given me, actually, and I had actually stood up with, the help of the community around me and my husband, I think I would have suffered from postnatal depression, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I had bouts of it. So yeah, it's really important because we're human beings and we all are different, but we all need to be celebrated and respected. It's very important.
And everyone's different, and it's so important to have awareness of how people. As I said at the start, you can't make sweeping generalizations, but to make that bond with the family that you are working with, and to ask questions, and to take an interest in their background, in what they want, what their wishes are. And as you say, that ultimately will lead to someone feeling more comfortable and feeling at ease. So yeah, that is really important. Where can professionals learn more about Sikhism?
There is many different, there's one person that I know, she's called Sikh Mum. I think she is on Instagram as well. So I think she's a very good person.
Hopefully she's watching this, because I think I did tag her in it and she messaged me. So yeah, she knows that.
Yeah. So yeah, it'd be a good point of contact. Also, your local gurdwara. So the local Sikh gurdwaras, they normally have volunteers that are always helpful to let you learn a little bit more. And finally, look out for Amneet's and I's leaflet. So this is something that we're going to be working on and going in much more detail about Umrah, the different ceremonies, initiations. You might find ladies who don't feel comfortable because, they've got, especially my age and younger, they may have hair on their body and, they might feel just vulnerable about that. It's a lot of stigma attached to it, I guess. It's changing. It's much different now, but there's still a lot of stigma attached to that. So yeah, I think we'll be doing a lot more on this leaflet, and I think it's really, really important. Not just for our leaflet, but like generally, nationally, everyone needs to be, no matter what background you're from, there needs to be leaflets being made, work needs to be done, maybe community groups. I think that's really important. Inviting professionals. I know we're part of Northeast Sikh Service, so we actually visit hospitals, we visit the police, we have schools coming, go to schools, lots of different spaces that we do diversity training. But it's extremely important for women, especially because I can speak English and you can speak English. we're born in this country, so it's a little bit more easier. But sometimes I feel how difficult it must be for migrants, people where, you know, UK isn't where they
Yeah,
were born. Now they're home and they can't communicate. So it must be really scary for them, actually. But yeah, so I think,
definitely.
yeah, seek out sort of people like Seek Mum, because this is what she's doing. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. I think we've gone a little bit over time, but we had so much important stuff and we could have gone on for hours.
I know, I know.
To talk about. But thank you so much for joining me for this chat. And yeah, as Kirin says, look out for, eventually we will get this leaflet done because it is important work.
Yeah.
Getting some like thank yous come through on the chat. But I'm always keeping my fingers crossed that this video saves. There was one time I did a video and it didn't save because Instagram was
Oh,
going
no.
through some sort of meltdown. But I think everything's all right today. So I'm gonna end it. Hopefully it saves. If there's, I'll put your handle. You haven't got a handle for DiverCity, have you? Have they got Instagram?
Not on Instagram. We are on Facebook, though.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I will put that in the description as well then, because that is like a massive like amazing place that I wish I could. I wish it was somewhere that I was there when I was living there. And it's just such a welcoming space and a place where anyone can feel welcome and like they matter to people, I guess, no matter what background you come from. But yeah, thank you so much, Kirin, and I will speak to you soon. And thank you everyone who's watched. And yeah. Bye.
Oh, thank you for having me, Emily. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.